Hello, my name's Bev and I'm the author of the book Please Eat, A Mother's Struggle to Free Her Teenage Son from Anorexia, which describes our family's battle with the deadly eating disorder, anorexia nervosa, which my teenage son Ben developed back in 2009. Welcome to chapter 17, which is called Alice. Being part of the normal world as it goes on around you is unsettling. Most of the time I feel as if I'm in a bubble looking out, or in a parallel universe. I'm here, but I'm not here. It is quite surreal, and only a few people have any idea what's going on. When I leave the house, the neighbours say hello. Kids cycle up and down the road. The lady over the road takes her poodle for a walk. Life goes on as normal, but inside the house it's a very different story. I've already had a quiet word with the woman next door. I just thought I'd better explain what's going on if you hear a lot of banging and shouting. Ben isn't well. He has anorexia. I've no idea how to explain why anorexia can mean banging and shouting, so I just leave it at that. She makes sympathetic noises, nodding her head. One day, our Indian neighbours invite us to their son's 21st birthday party in the local village hall. Predictably, Ben starves himself all day to make room for all the curries swimming in ghee, he says. As expected, the tables are laden with mouth-watering food. The whole focus is on food. "Tuck in," our genial host exclaims, slapping Ben on the back jovially. "You look as if you could do with a square meal inside you." Followed by, "Come on, eat up, there's plenty more where that came from," as Ben sits in front of his plate, picking at the food miserably. Around us, the party is in full swing, a constant supply of drinks and food. It's foodie heaven. The cooking smells are to die for, and the kaleidoscope of tastes is incredible. I want to eat until I can't eat any more, but I scarcely eat a thing. I can't eat because of what Ben is going through. As he sits there miserably, turning down offers of drinks and yet more food, Paul and I sit there miserably too, wanting to go home. In the end, we bid an early goodbye to our baffled hosts, who continue to party into the night. Following the birthday party, the demon continues to rage. "Will you promise me something, Ben?" I ask, feeling as if I'm being ground into the earth and stamped on. "When you're a man and you're through this and you look back and realise how much you hurt me and your dad, will you come back and say sorry?" I can't help myself, the damaging words just spill out. Ben responds by bashing around the house, yelling and swearing, and in the meantime, it looks as if he's still losing weight. I feel as if we're on a nightmarish merry-go-round where we keep returning to the same point. I feel as if we're not making any progress at all. The next day, I produce a chicken and avocado sandwich for lunch. Pork meatballs and Parmesan cheese are on the evening menu. The demon explodes. Bang, crash, slam. Animal howling, skull bashing. In the end, I have to phone Paul to get him to calm Ben down. "I'm taking back full control of your eating," I threaten. "From tomorrow, no arguments." "F off," spits the demon. "I won't effing do it. I won't effing eat anything. You're effing ruining my life." At this time, I'm still going to church most Sundays with Sue, but I'm feeling more and more disconnected with everyone. I'm finding it hard to engage in small talk. You know, when people smile and ask you how you are. "Oh, very well, thank you," I lie, longing to say, "Must be truthful, I feel crap. I've never felt this crap in all my life." But I very much doubt if that's the kind of thing they want to hear on their cosy Sunday morning church service. One morning, the vicar's talking about the miracle of family life, the importance of having a close and loving environment in which to bring up children. The younger kids are sitting on the floor at the front, eagerly waving their hands in the air whenever the vicar asks a question. Behind them, proud parents and grandparents are chuckling at their answers. On this June morning, I vividly remember Ben when he was this age, when he'd sit cross-legged at the front of the school Christmas carol service held in a local church, and the time he played a king in the nativity play and made everyone roar with laughter as he stormed up to the baby Jesus with a face like thunder and hurled his gift at the manger. Meanwhile, a little fluffy sheep burst into floods of tears and had to be consoled by his mum. As the service goes on, I notice a couple sitting opposite us. The dad is cradling a newborn baby, his face a picture of emotion as he plays with the tiny fingers and toes. What does the future hold for this family, I wonder? Will that little baby grow up big and strong like every parent hopes and prays? Seeing a new family like this always affects me. Even though it's June, I'm instantly transported back to Christmas again. Christmas Eve 1993, I'm lying in a hospital bed, battered and bruised and sore from giving birth the day before. Beside me, snug in his crib, his eyes trying to focus on me, lies my very own Christmas baby. I gaze in awe and wonder at this tiny being, overwhelmed by the force of maternal emotions that are avalanching down on me. The sound of the church organ jolts me back to the present. I have no idea which line it is in the final hymn that sets me off, but suddenly I can't stop myself. Right there, in public, in the midst of a congregation I scarcely know, tears are streaming down my face. I am so embarrassed I push past the shocked, staring faces in my pew and flee outside into the fresh air, where I continue to sob my eyes out. In a flash, Sue is there beside me, giving me a hug and calming me down. I sensed you are finding it difficult, she says, but I want to flee to my car before the congregation leaves the building. I drive home and face the chaos which a demon has created while I've been out. Paul and I end up having an almighty row. Paul accuses me of being a control freak in the way I'm desperately trying to manage Ben's illness. I'm dazed. I almost wonder if he's right and I've completely lost the plot. Meanwhile, Ben is still losing weight. I arrange to see Sarah again in private. I tell her I'm worried and want to take back control of Ben's eating, but Sarah feels that he's doing well and the general trend is positive. She explains that Ben feels in control at what is a very out of control time for him. If Ben continues to lose weight, then yes, something may need to be done. Back home, I begin to carefully monitor Ben's intake. Not surprisingly, he's been cheating. He hasn't been eating anywhere near the number of calories he's supposed to be consuming. The demon goes crazy when I challenge him about it. If you haven't put on any weight by September, then you won't be going into the sixth form, I threaten, knowing that the real Ben's ultimate goal is to go to university. In that case, I won't go back to school ever again, he yells. I don't need to put on weight. I don't see why I have to put on weight, and Cams agrees with me. It's you that's trying to make me fat. You should listen to them. They're the professionals, not you. I feel as if I'm responsible for some kind of warped child abuse. A couple of years later, when I'm writing this book, Ben tells me that he thought I was trying to make him fat by mistake, that I simply didn't understand how much food he really needed. I felt I was fine at the weight I was, he says. And every time you lost weight, you felt fine at the new level, I remind him. And so on, down, down, down and down. The headmaster's plan for sitting the rest of the GCSE exams separately works splendidly, and because there's no contact with his peers, Ben's stress levels are reduced. As a result, he does really well, surprisingly well when you consider that he's spent the past few months studying at home without any formal tutoring. We're also making good progress with Alice, the dietitian, who we see every 3 weeks. She's busy working on Ben's fear foods, primarily fats, walking him through the scientific evidence for including fat in a daily diet and gradually introducing one fatty fear food after another. One week it might be chocolate, the next it might be cake. She calls these tests so it doesn't frighten him so much. The latest test is the proposal to move from skimmed milk to semi-skimmed. Ideally, we want him to go for full cream milk, but Ben breaks down sobbing at the prospect of semi-skimmed. So for the time being, we'll have to compromise with orange top, a halfway house between skimmed and semi-skimmed. Crazy, I know, but this is the kind of minutiae that can send someone with anorexia into a frenzy. I'm happy to go along with the switch to orange top if I can see progress. The snail-like move from one type of milk to another is, in my eyes, progress, no matter how small. Yet very quickly I'm aware that Ben is consuming less milk than before the switchover. Orange top is proving a step too far, and before long we're back to skimmed. Whenever Ben resists these tests set by Alice, I gently remind him of the dietetic evidence. Absurdly, I even spend a few days adding up the different fats he's been consuming to prove to him that he's still well within the UK government's safe limits. Boy, it takes a lot of time and energy, but it seems to be working. I've managed to get him to eat chocolate hazelnut spread and flapjacks. Of course, he and I can't count fats and calories forever. It's too artificial. But isn't our whole world artificial these days? In the real world, strapping teenage boys eat their parents out of house and home. They wouldn't know or care what a calorie or fat unit was if it hit them in the face. Nor would they break down into noisy sobbing at the thought of drinking a milkshake made from semi-skimmed milk. One day, Alice says she has some bad news. Her funding is being withdrawn. We'll have one final session with her, and then that will be that. And anyway, she says, the general feeling is that Ben no longer needs dietetic support. I'm so shocked I burst into tears. I can't help it. I feel as if everything we've achieved with Alice has been scuppered, as if we're on an elastic lead, plodding slowly towards our destination when, ping, the elastic pulls us right back to where we were. Later, this turns into anger at the system. And this on an evening when Ben is refusing to eat his supper, any of it, because the onion I'm using in the pasta is swimming in oil. I wail to Sue over the phone. And yesterday he cut off all the fat from a slice of bacon, leaving only a tiny bit of meat. This is the boy that our local NHS has decided no longer needs a dietitian. Well, you know what to do, she says. Do what I've been doing with breast cancer awareness and write letters to important people. Lots of letters to lots of people. So I spend the next few days drafting out letters. I complain, I phone official NHS people. I plead with the commissioners, even the head of CAMS, with whom I have a long and frustratingly fruitless conversation over the phone, all without success. There's nothing I can do. We've lost our dietitian, just as I feel we're beginning to make progress. That's the end of chapter 17. Thank you for listening. And if you go to the end of the video, you'll find a link to chapter 18, which is called The Roof. I look forward to seeing you there. It would also be really good if you could like this video, and you can subscribe to my channel by clicking the subscribe button below. Oh, and don't forget to visit my blog. You'll find the link below. You'll also find a link to my website where you can download PDFs of my blog for free.